Verrückt. Verrückt was a water slide in Kansas City that held the record for tallest in the world at 168 feet, which is about as tall as a 17-story building. The name means insane in German, and honestly, that fits. You rode down in a multi-person raft that could hit 65 miles per hour, which is highway speed, except you're essentially falling down a near vertical drop with water spraying everywhere. The slide had this massive hump partway down that would launch the raft into the air before slamming back down. In 2016, a 10-year-old boy was killed when his raft went airborne and he hit the metal poles supporting the safety netting. After that, they tore the whole thing down. The park itself closed a couple years later. Cannonball Loop. The Cannonball Loop was a water slide in New Jersey's Action Park that did exactly what it sounds like. It sent you through a full vertical loop like a roller coaster. The thing opened in the mid-1980s and barely lasted a month before they shut it down for good. The basic problem was physics. When you hit the loop, the G-forces slammed you around inside this tight plexiglass tube. People came out with teeth knocked loose, dislocated jaws, lacerations all over their backs and shoulders from scraping against the walls. The park tested it with dummies before opening, and even those got torn apart. They actually offered employees $100 to test ride it. Some took the money, most immediately regretted it. In the end, the park just filled it with cement rather than try to fix it. Insano. Insano sits at Beach Park in Fortaleza, Brazil, and it's essentially a 14-story freefall disguised as a water slide. You climb 135 feet up a near vertical tower, look down at what's basically a straight drop, and then gravity takes over. The whole experience lasts 4 to 5 seconds, which sounds short until you realize you're hitting 65 miles per hour on the way down. There's barely any curve to this thing, just a steep plunge that's closer to falling than sliding. A thin film of water is the only thing between you and the fiberglass, and your body accelerates so fast that riders often report their vision blurring and their stomach lurching into their throat. By the time you hit the runout pool at the bottom, you've experienced what's essentially a controlled plummet in a swimsuit. Summit Plummet. Summit Plummet opened at Disney's Blizzard Beach in 1995, and it's basically a controlled freefall disguised as a water slide. You start at the top of a 120-foot tower, which is about 12 stories high, looking down what used to be themed as a ski jump. The drop is nearly vertical for most of the 360-foot descent, and I mean actually vertical, not just steep. Riders hit speeds around 60 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest water slides in North America. The whole thing takes maybe 5 to 7 seconds from top to bottom. You're lying flat on your back with your arms crossed over your chest, and then gravity just takes over. The water flow is minimal compared to most slides, so you're practically falling through air with just enough moisture to keep you from burning up on the fiberglass. Kilimanjaro. Located at a Brazilian water park called Aldeia das Águas Park Resort, this one stands at 164 feet tall, which made it the world's tallest water slide for quite a while. The angle is what really sets Kilimanjaro apart from other tall slides. It's basically a near vertical drop that feels more like controlled falling than sliding. You climb up to a platform that's taller than most buildings, look down at what's essentially a straight drop, and then gravity takes over. The first few seconds are pure free fall before the slide curve starts catching you. Your stomach drops, you pick up terrifying speed, and there's this moment where you genuinely feel weightless. The entire ride takes only a few seconds, but riders say those seconds feel much longer when you're plummeting down what looks like the side of a skyscraper. Leap of faith. The leap of faith in the Bahamas is one of those slides where your brain fights your body the entire way down. You climb to the top of this Mayan temple replica, look down at what's basically a straight drop, and every survival instinct tells you to turn around. It's a 60-foot plunge that hits nearly vertical, and you're falling fast enough that your stomach doesn't catch up until you're already halfway through. The kicker is the clear acrylic tunnel at the bottom, submerged in a lagoon filled with sharks and rays swimming inches from your face. You shoot through so fast, you barely process what you're seeing, but your brain registers those shapes moving around you. The whole thing takes maybe 5 seconds, but the anticipation beforehand does most of the psychological damage. King Cobra. The King Cobra at Six Flags Hurricane Harbor is one of those slides where the theming actually matches the intensity. You climb up to a 50-foot tall cobra head that's built right into the structure, and when I say you shoot through its mouth, I mean you really shoot through it. The drop starts nearly vertical, and the angle is steep enough that you're basically in free fall for the first few seconds. Once you're inside the cobra's throat, the tube whips you through a series of tight turns at speeds that can hit 30 miles per hour. The G-forces are legitimately intense, especially when the slide banks hard and presses you against the walls. If you're not braced for it, those sudden direction changes can knock the wind out of you. The whole thing lasts maybe 15 seconds, but it's a concentrated burst of speed and pressure that lives up to the snake's reputation. L2. This one's in Austria's Ötztal Valley at a place called Area 47, and is basically designed to launch you into the air on purpose. The slide is called L2, and it's got a series of drops and jumps built right into the track. You pick up speed on the downhill sections, then hit these ramps that send you completely airborne if you're going fast enough. Like, we're not talking about a little hop either. Riders can actually catch some serious air between segments. The whole thing is steep, fast, and legitimately dangerous enough that you have to sign a waiver before you're allowed on. This isn't your average water park attraction where they're trying to keep everyone safe and comfortable. It's built specifically for people who want that stomach drop feeling of losing contact with the slide beneath them. You're either going to love it or regret it immediately. Skydrop. Thermas dos Laranjeiras in Brazil is one of the largest water parks in Latin America, and it's home to Skydrop, a slide complex that takes the concept of a water slide to an extreme level. This one features sections that approach vertical angles, meaning you're essentially in free fall for portions of the ride with water barely cushioning you. The curves come at you fast, whipping your body through turns at speeds that can hit 40 miles per hour or more. The problem is that injuries have stacked up over the years. People have reported broken bones, spinal injuries, and serious bruising after riding. The park has faced investigations and lawsuits over whether the slides meet proper safety standards. In some cases, riders claim the force of impact at the bottom pool was enough to knock them unconscious. It's the kind of attraction where the thrill crosses into genuine danger. Wildebeest. Wildebeest at Holiday World holds the record as the world's longest water coaster, stretching over 1,700 feet through the Indiana woods. Unlike traditional water slides where gravity does all the work, this one uses linear induction motors, basically powerful magnetic water jets, to push your raft uphill multiple times during the ride. You're not just sliding down, you're accelerating up and over hills at speeds around 25 miles per hour. The track design throws in sudden drops and quick transitions that create unpredictable airtime, meaning you and your raft can separate from the slide surface without warning. That's where things get risky. If you're not holding on tight or positioned correctly when you catch air, you can slam down hard or get thrown sideways when you reconnect with the track. The sheer length means more opportunities for something to go wrong over those 5 minutes of ride time.